What's up, Ceremonies, and welcome back to a new quick win. Today we will talk about the status bar. It is a small area on your screen. We don't really talk about it often, but there are a few things that you should learn about it. How you can style it, how you can change it on iOS and Android. There are a few differences and we will get into all of them today to make the status bar adaptive to the different pages and to the background on the pages with a little directive, and we're gonna have a lot of fun today with that directive. The code, of course, available for all Ionic Academy members for the quick win, and if you're not yet a member, go check it out, ionicacademy.com, my place to help you with everything Ionic. So let's get into our quick win on making a dynamic status bar color with Ionic and Capacitor. Alright, so let's start our application today, as always, with a blank Ionic application, and then we're gonna generate one module which we will use for a directive. We will get to this part later. Also generate a second page so we can move a bit of our logic into a second page and see some differences. Since we're using the Capacitor plugin, we don't need to install any package with Capacitor 2. If you watch this video and you're using Capacitor 3, you are very likely to install a different package for the status bar, but everything for that migration will hopefully be documented, or I will create a video on it very likely as well. But with Capacitor 2, simply go ahead and first of all inject the plugins. So import plugins from add capacitor core to, let's say, the home page. And then we kind of destructure this to extract the status bar from our plugins object. Great. So now we have different ways to change the appearance of our status bar. I'm already running this with Capacitor Live Reload on my device. Since we need to look at this on a real device, you won't see a difference in the web view or the browser. So, for example, this page is kind of nice as it is. But we need to make sure that if other pages change the appearance of our status bar, that we are able to change it back. So we can use, first of all, status bar set style, and then use style status bar style dot dark or light. The choices here are kind of limited. But that will be enough for us. And we see that choice, dark, means it is light. Actually, it's just really just the opposite. I think dark mostly refers to the background. If I change this to light, we will see, yeah, now the text is dark, so it's for light background. I really don't know about that naming. It always confuses me. I don't know if you feel the same. Also, if you plan to use your application on the web, I recommend to surround it with something like is platform mobile, because otherwise on the web you are very likely to get error messages on every page where you use this kind of code. So now we're gonna change this back to dark, and then everything looks fine again. Now, there are a few things that I wanted to show you as well. You can also toggle the visibility. So we will set visible to true in the beginning, and we're also gonna see an example for Android in a second as well. So let's first of all talk about toggling visibility. To toggle the visibility, we will just use our visible boolean and change this to not visible in the end. And then we're gonna add the status bar animation from the Capacitor core package. So this could be either slide, none, or fade. So let's see the difference. We might need a few buttons. So I'm gonna copy over a few buttons to the home page. We're gonna have a router link to the second page in the home page, our toggle button, and then two more that we will see for Android in a second. Maybe you should just do it like this. I think that makes more sense. So I can now toggle my toolbar, and you see it moves up and it fades in. So we move it out with the slide animation. We could also change this to fade. This is the way to simply remove your status bar. We can already go to the second page, and because we can only see the other two options for Android, let's implement them, and meanwhile I will try to cast my Android device to my Mac as well. Works most of the time pretty good. It's already casting, yeah, and please show me, yeah, there we go. Actually, there it is. So here we are on the Android device, and for Android we have two more options that we don't have for iOS. And these are two. I actually added the functions to change the style and to toggle whether our status bar overlays our web view. Because I think you might not be sure what all of this means, I just wanted to add a few simple examples for this, so we can see the real result. So we've now seen how to set the style dark or light, we've seen how to hide or show with different animations, and we can also toggle the set overlays web view. And let's check what this actually does on our Android device. So the last function should call toggle overlays web view, and we can see if we toggle this, we can use the whole area up here as well. I could now also toggle the bar. I actually don't know why toggling the bar and removing it and then overlay web views isn't working, because this without the status bar would make sense to me. I'm not sure if there's an issue with this, but toggling the toolbar in general works. Overlays web view works as well. So right now the web view isn't overlaying the status bar. As we can see, it's always up there. Only now it would be right there. But we can on Android also completely change the styling of our status bar. We can set it really to a random color, and we're gonna do exactly this because I found some code. I really don't know where this came from. I think I found it somewhere inside the Ionic community. This basically generates a random color, and you can call set background color with this options array. So it's not just passing a property, it really always is an options object. And this one has a random color. So let's see if we can change our style. Yes, we can change it to whatever we want. Maybe implement this if you're working on some kind of party application. Wouldn't this be nice to just all the time change the color? I mean, that might be funny. So it works in combination with all of the things we had in here, of course, toggle, change style. But once again, those two functions to change the style and to toggle overlay the web view are not working for iOS. So that's it for the Android specific part. Now we can move back into something else. So this is the UI for one page. This tool really works great all the time. There we go, back to normal. And now we want to see this with a second page. Because on the second page, we're going to implement the same so we can actually see how our Ion view will enter affects this. We're going to copy, let's just copy everything. Might be a bit too much for this page, but I really don't care right now. And for the second page, maybe we're gonna change the header of our second page to something else, because we had this bluish header on the first page. We're gonna use just a white header here. Maybe we also use our cool collapse header on the second page. And why are you now back to, I really don't know what's going on with that. For the toolbar, we could also add a button to go back. So I'm gonna reposition this. I feel like most of the video I was repositioning my reflector view. Okay, we're on that page, and as we can see, this is a light page. We really have no status bar color. In that case, it's really important to change the color of your status bar. So as we know, just use the word that you think the background looks like, and then we see the status bar color is dark. It makes completely sense. Now it's back to white and back to say. That means our Ion view will enter logic here inside the second page and inside the home page works pretty nice. If we have different headers on different pages, that means we can easily switch between the color of our status bar. I don't know what we messed up now, but usually it worked so far. Also, this is our nice collapse header in action once again. But I also wanted to show you one more thing, and that is a little funny something. So let's start by creating an array of items on our second page. And we're gonna fill that array with random numbers and actually also random colors. And then we're gonna use this on our second page, just here somewhere on the page, to iterate our items, and we're also gonna set the background to the random background of that item. That should look pretty funny. Ha ha. Okay, we can now scroll through the page and everything is okay because our header is still in place. But we had a few directives in the past, a few layouts where basically the content here at some point scrolled out the header bar to have more space available. And we want to fake this behavior, so we will scroll out our header area and then dynamically change the color of our toolbar. One thing, I haven't found a way to make it completely dynamic. So let's say you have red behind this here at some point, and then it checks if it's red or if it's dark or light. I haven't found a way to make that work. I tried HTML to canvas, I tried DOM to image, but all of those approaches didn't really work out in the end. I will maybe talk more about this again in the end. Let's for now focus on our directive. As always, we need to export the directive we generated in our shared module that we created, just like this. And then we can head over to our dynamic status bar directive. We will use an input to have a reference to the header element, and we've done this before. If we give the input the same name like the selector for our directive, we can make this a bit easier for us. Then we follow really a simple, or the pattern we've used in the past. We need the renderer and the DOM controller. The focus here really isn't on the actual implementation of scrolling out the header. It's also not really perfect by any means. But overall, it should look like this. We're listening to our Ion scroll. That means we will attach this directive on the second page to the Ion content. We will pass a reference to the header. So let's give this a template reference header to make the directive actually catch the scroll events. We also need to set them to true on our Ion content. And then we can listen to the scroll events and simply check. We want to move the header once we pass a certain threshold. So we're gonna say current y minus 300, whatever. After that value, we want to move our header. Then we can use the DOM controller, like always, to make this more efficient. If move header is bigger or equal than 0, we're gonna set our renderer dot set style for this dot header element dot element. You can see why if you inspect the element, the header element isn't enough. We really need to dive into this. We want to transition, we want to call WebKit transform, and what we want to do is translate 3D, no changes to the x-axis. Let's make this in the next line. And I think this doesn't really work well, so let's use a plus minus move header plus. Does this work with? It should, right? Why do I do this like I'm living 10 years ago? Really, no need for that. Sorry that I completely mess up the syntax right now. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not sorry about the changes that I'm gonna do. So we're gonna call move header pixel. That looks totally better. Why didn't I do this in the first place? and that's it. So this will transition our header element out of the view once we are past that threshold, so that it moves it out. And what we can do now as well, after we're done with that, we can simply check if we're on a certain platform, iOS or Android. We can really make this specific as we want, or we can just use is platform mobile like we did before. It doesn't really matter. Don't we have the import? Come on, I'm just copy over everything. Remove all the things that we don't need. Feel free to do that. Now we can also at the same time check if we're above a certain value, because we know at that page, if our application is scrolling behind the header, we could make it dark. But for now, let's comment this out and first of all, see the result of our directive. So we can scroll, the header is there, and at some point the header should, no, header please. We're not injecting, I know what's wrong. Hopefully. I think we haven't used the share. No, we actually did. That's a pity. That means I did a mistake. I didn't expect that. Let's see. Mighty logging skills for the Venn event. Either I did something wrong in here. Oh, no, I don't really have any log right now, right? Because we actually haven't added. Yeah, okay, by improving my logic here, I think I left out this part, which was kind of important. So now the header should move out, which of course it doesn't. Let's see. Cannot read property style of undefined. This dot renderer set style, our very own header element. And did we actually add the app dynamic status bar? Yeah, we did it. App dynamic status bar, but I think we need to use the brackets, otherwise we're just passing the string header. That's really not a very clever idea. Okay, we're moving it. Just messed up the logic and moved it to the wrong direction, because this has to be minus move header, of course. But also might be an interesting transition on some pages. Now we can move it out, but we see we still got that header area. I think to make this disappear, we also need to use full screen true. Let's see the difference. And we can do this, and now we can do it. Okay, great. Now we're able to scroll out the header at some point, and there we go. So after that point, we maybe want to change also the color of our status bar. And finally, we can comment this in, which we already had. If current Y is above a certain value, we want to change the styling once and for all. So that means we scroll, and the header becomes light. I know this doesn't really respect the different colors we had in here, but it is actually pretty dynamic because as you can see, it switches here. We can easily switch it back and really build cool animations or transitions with that color difference that we got there. Final word on this dynamic coloring here. Really, I gave it a try. I tried to basically snapshot the web view, but it really wasn't working well, either because HTML to Canvas wasn't working with the shadow components, or DOM to image didn't take all the styling, and we ended up with no color at all. Really, it's actually not that easy. If you find a way to screenshot the page at, say, like pixel whatever, really that needs to be defined. Which area do you want to capture and check if it's light or dark? It's really not that easy. And also, if you want to do this in a directive like this, on scroll all the time, I feel like this could really affect the performance. If you're all the time screenshotting a small area of your screen, rendering it within a canvas and then checking which color the canvas has, it's really something that could drain your performance or do harm to your application. I think this only really is important for like 0.0.1% of applications. all other applications should be fine with the things we've seen here in this video today before. So changing the status bar color when you enter a certain page, like we did with the Ion View will enter event, or you can toggle it if you don't need it. For Android, you can even change the style and toggle the overlays. And I really think that's enough for most applications. If you really have like categories on your page where you know it's becoming dark up here, you maybe just could change it like we did with our directive with a fixed value, or just say whatever user, come on, you know the time anyway, so you don't need to see this all the time. But basically that's everything for the status bar and all the functionalities that you can use. Once again, if you're using Capacitor 3, you might have to install the status bar from a separate package, as it's not included in Capacitor 3 Core as far as I know anymore. Alright, and that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this quick win. It was really just a quick lesson on what you can do with the status bar and how it can really improve the UI of your page. It's not a lot, but if you have a certain color inside your header, you should really take care of styling the status bar light or dark. Remember, it's always the opposite of what you think. Also, making it completely dynamic was my task for this. I couldn't achieve it. If you can do it, if you can make HTML to Canvas or any other library work within a directive with scroll, checking the percentage of the brightness of the topmost element, then I'll leave a link below and I might feature you in one of our next videos. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to check out the Ionic Academy and of course hit the like button for the video. So I will catch you next week as always, and happy coding, Simon.